Hey everybody, I'm Tom Brennan. Welcome to Hypo Brew. I'm going to put it out there. I had every intention on making a how-to video on how to make a DIY electric brew in a bag setup, which I did the whole thing from scratch. I may put it out there at some point, but seeing how we're about 9 months from when I started the project and I still haven't posted up a video, I figured I'd give you a little bit of a taste. If you want to see more about it, I will certainly post a much more in-depth video. We'll get to where we were about halfway in the process of this setup, but first, the ska. Yeah, and I mentioned it's been a while. It's August, and as you can tell behind me, got the hops growing. The cones are starting to form. That's how late it is in the season. We're going to kind of jump ahead about halfway through the electric brew in a bag setup, which I started to purchase back in December. It's now August. I'm going to put a parts list up so this way you guys can see everything that is involved with the setup that I have. It all started out with a 62 quart or 15.5 gallon pot. And as you could see from this pic, the pot came also with a steamer basket, which I have been using as a false bottom because of the hardware that's sitting just in the bottom of the pot. Here's the inside of the pot. I just got it filled up with some water because I'm running a test on the new piece of hardware, new piece of plumbing that I put in to the system. So this here is the thermal well port, the first heating element sitting on top or below the second heating element. I've got my drain there, and then my whirlpool port right there. Now, after a few brew days, I was noticing that my mash temp kept fluctuating like all over the place. So I added another port. To the kettle. How this is working out is I've got out of my drain, going into my pump, back into my sparge arm, I guess you can call it. Let's take a look inside here. And there you go. Now, with all of that work done, I decided to brew this beer. It was supposed to be a blonde ale, but it turned out to be a little bit different, and I'll explain why in just a minute or two. As a matter of fact, this beer was the second beer that I used to harvest, or I used the yeast that I harvested from a Sierra Nevada pale ale. I took about 3 bottles of that and up there, here, down there, somewhere, I'll have a link to the video of how I typically do that. I just wanted to kind of start this off again because somebody had mentioned if I had ever cropped the yeast again, and I hadn't. And I figured, well, now would be a good time to do it. So this is the second beer out of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to head to the brew day of this particular beer, and we're going to jump in at the sparging part of the process. All right, the hour is about over with. I have now increased my mash temperature to 168, and I'm circulating the mash, continuing with that sparge arm, to rinse all of the water and work through the grain, make sure I get as much as I can, extract out as much as I can from the grain that's in the bag. So we're gonna wait about 10 minutes, something like that. All right, I've got my brew in the bag out of the kettle. I've hit about 62 points efficiency. I think that this process is certainly gonna make it more consistent. I know people oftentimes like to show off their efficiency. Listen, I don't do what you want to do. First off, I, for one, as long as I'm consistent, I know how much grain to put in. That's all I've really worried about. And I think by doing this process, circulating the whole time, minding the mash, and keeping the electric system going throughout the entire mash, I think it's going to allow me to have the ability to know that I'm going to have, in this case, in my case, 62% efficiency when I'm mashing. So I'm okay with that low number. Just add a little bit more malt. It's not really that big of a deal. And again, consistency, I think, is really what matters with home brewing. So I've got the controller up on the one element. I had the other element plugged in to get me up to a boil. And from there, we're gonna start hopping things. And that's pretty much where I messed up a little bit. Again, this was supposed to be a pretty plain blonde ale. It managed to be kind of not, because I messed up the hop schedule. I had planned on putting about an ounce of Centennial in at 10 minutes to give it just a boost of about 10 IBUs, and then 2 ounces at flame out. Instead, I swapped it. So I added an additional 20 IBUs to this beer, and then an ounce at flame out, which the beer is good. It's Centennial. It's hopped with Centennial, so how could it be bad, right? But it's a little bit more bitter than I had planned it to be, and I called it a blonde ale, and it still kind of is. Funny enough, I brewed this blonde ale on the 50th anniversary of Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde, and I had no idea that's the coincidence of that happening. Anyway, so yeah, the blonde ale, it was Centennial all the way through. This is 46% Pils, 36% Vienna, and 18% white wheat. Original gravity is 1049 with a final gravity of 1008. And I'll put what the alcohol, the ABV is of it. It's a pretty decent beer. Again, so the electric brew in a bag setup that I have, it's kind of evolving. I think I've kind of settled on where I want to be with it. I will, if anybody wants to see a more in-depth video of how I created the control box, how I had all the wiring set up. My system is a little different because I don't have 220 in my house. I have 120, so I had to use 2 different circuits. I'd be more than happy to show a video on that. But it's been such a long time since I posted a video, and I really have taken a leap. I have to say, going from propane to electric is a bit of a leap for me. And it's been such a long time since I posted a video. I really just wanted to share kind of where I'm at right now with my brewing process. And again, I love to share videos, and I love to see the comments, and it's great. And I really appreciate all the subscribers that are here. People are chatting back and forth. So if you want to see that, more in-depth video of an electric brew in a bag setup, again, this is really kind of a basic thing, just a kind of quick overview. If you want to see more in-depth video on that, or perhaps you want to see some other videos of me doing some other things, I'd be happy. Well, maybe not a lot of other things, but beer-related things. I will do that as well. All right, so I appreciate you checking out this video. Again, make comments below if you want to see some more stuff from me. I'm going to try to get out of here before I have more motorcycles or a helicopter flying over me. Until then, you guys, thanks for watching, and cheers.